What's going on, everybody? Started a little bit early today because why the hell not, man? I've been late enough that, now and then I can see what it's like to be more than on time. Oh, shit, we already have people sharing it out. Good for you guys. You guys are freaking awesome. Today, dude, I mean, I'm saying it all the time. Today's really big. I'm all excited. Blah, blah, blah. But again, this one's huge. This is actually my first one where I started with two guests when Steph and Carrie Ann came on. Now I'm in with three guests, so it's huge. We're there. Why don't you guys feel free to chat? I think I've opened everything up. We should be good to go. We can chit chat and fuck around for a couple minutes as my absolutely amazing guests hang out in the background. They're all ready to go. They're all ready to talk goth with you guys. Of course, we have the absolute wizards behind BDI's Goth Day. Josh Galster, what's going on, man? That's right. Check that out. Thank you for the mic drop, my friend. That's right, guys. Yeah, we've got Big Dog Inc. here, and it's going to be awesome. We've got Wes Hartman, colorist extraordinaire, really solid dude. We've got CB Zane, who puts down just some fucking amazing pencils. And, of course, the big dog himself. Tom Hutchison is here. It's going to be great. Hey, Thomas, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Trish, beautiful. Good to see you. Tom's saying hi to Jack, but I haven't seen Jack. So, hey, Jack, what's going on? And like I said, Josh is here. Oh, guys, holy shit, we're already flying in. This is great. You know what? Cool. We started early. We've got a crowd already starting to happen. Why don't we just make this go? I think that sounds fun. All right, gang, let's do it.
Canadian bacon is actually really good, and it's nothing like normal bacon, and it's better than ham, which you guys seem to call Canadian bacon. I'm very good at writing. I write very well. Yeah, it's Shop Talk.
Do some of your audience members like the word fuck? Cool. Then I'm going to keep saying fuck. Because I care.
What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing?
Good.
Do good.
I love that big.
Be in a good mood when you hear about Canadian bacon.
I don't know. I always am. And see, we've got the most manliest guys here. Of course, the top guys with the headsets of doom, and then beards and everything, dude. It's so good to have all you guys. Seriously, this is like a monster grab. I absolutely love what all three of you guys do. It's just insane. So I want to just start off by saying, all of you, thank you so much for coming to the show. I really appreciate it.
It's the facial hair show tonight for sure.
I just shaved.
Me too, sort of.
It is about an inch shorter, though.
Right, oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the old joke, when somebody borrows your razor and then comes back and says thank you, but their face isn't shaved at all.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck did you use my razor for? Why is Canadian bacon not all that it's hyped up to be? That's because you're not eating Canadian bacon, you're eating ham. Go to Canada and ask for the real thing, and trust me, it's way different. Don't get me on that rant, my friend. Brian Manell. Holy shit, yes, CB. Yes, fucking pea-meal bacon.
Yeah.
He gets it.
Yeah.
Well, he lives at Niagara Falls. He just has to cross the falls, and he's in Canada,
dude.
so super easy for him.
Oh, man.
Ride that barrel over the falls, and you get some Canadian bacon.
Swim fast across the current.
It's like the medal that you get. It's just a Canadian bacon medal. You went over the falls. There it is.
Yeah. Oh no, it's perfect, and I would do it for that right about now. It's been years since I've had it. So let's get started. First off, why not? Why don't all three of you guys? We'll start with Tom. We'll go around. Tom, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man?
Yeah, normally it says like right here, everything that you need to know, like Tom Hutchison, Big Dog Inc.
But do that.
There we go. Boom. That's it. That's all you need. Boom.
That's
done.
it?
Big Dog Inc. Celebrating 11 years of publishing this year, 10 years of The Legend of Oz, and 2 years of catnip back here, or not 2 years. I guess it's 1 year of catnip, but it's our second year. That's what we're going to talk about tonight is World Goth Day, which was May 22nd. But for us at Big Dog Inc., it is World Goth Week, and CB and Wes are a big part of that. So Big Dog Inc. Comics for 11 years and at least 11 more from now.
That's freaking awesome. Wes, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, homie?
All right. On Wes, I colored Goth Day for Tom and with CB Zane, and I've been a freelance colorist for almost 20 years, and I'm also a indie comic creator, writer, editor, and I've got a current series I'm producing called Savage Sasquatch, which is about Bigfoot in space, and between Goth Day and Savage Sasquatch, I'm kind of neck deep in a bunch of work right now, trying to get it all done.
Yeah, man, I know how busy you are. And all right, my dude, my almost Canadian brother, CB Zane. Why don't you tell us about you, man?
Well, I'm CB Zane, and I fly the maple flag, and no,
Eats the maple syrup. That's about it.
And the artist for the Goth Day issue. I'm pretty much the one who, along with Wes's colors, saved the book after seeing Tom's script. But I am also a co-owner of Outpost 426 Studios, where I produce and create my comic books, The Mighty Might, Into the Suck, and Scorpiana, and then later this year, Black Rabbit, which is also part of the Goth Day venue. So, and I'm a fan of all these guys. I've read the Savage Sasquatch. It's an awesome series. If you haven't seen it or checked it out, go get it. It's super fun. It's cool. It's beautiful looking. So, and you know, I'm a fan of what Tom does too, and your stuff too, Chuck. So,
oh damn, thank you, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I just read issue 5 of Sasquatch, which was absolutely awesome. So much fun. So yeah, man, I totally
Sorry,
agree.
Tom,
Look
I
at all
didn't
these.
put him up to all this plugging for me, bro.
we have more than enough time for
CB, I'll pay
everybody.
you later.
All right, we got everybody out here. They're all excited. Wendy Steen Shaner is in the house.
Wendy.
Love her. She just finished her campaign.
Yep, just finished it, crushed it, broke records.
Oh yeah,
double thumbs up.
Oh yeah. Everybody's excited about the kitty headphones, of course. What is it about? Like, is that a critter thing, or did you just love them all on your own? Like, I have to ask while we're here.
Listen, I knew I was going to start doing these live things, specifically my own, because when I do other people's, oftentimes I'm just on my phone or whatever. But when I figured out I had to do my own thing, I was like, well, I need headphones. I need something that's going to be decent. And I remember them making these things many years ago, like from like Sharper Image. It was just like, oh, here's cat ear headphones from Sharper Image. And so I went looking for them, and because basically, yeah, it's a critter thing. Is the short answer, but basically they didn't make them anymore, and so I had to go on eBay to find them. And I found these that were like silver, because the other ones were like black in the old days, but these are like silver, and they still light up and everything. But these are actually, I don't know which side it's on, but these are actually they've been rebranded as Ariana Grande headphones. And so I bought a pair because they were like actually really cheap, and I was like, well, that's fine. I mean, they got to be fine. And I got them, and I was like, well, these are freaking cool. And I started listening to music with them, and I was like, God damn, these are actually okay headphones. So yeah, it was for fun, and now it's just a thing.
It's at this point it's almost branding for you.
Right, exactly. It's the same reason you have 8-year-old pink headphones.
Yeah, and I have no issue with that. They came in and they work really well, and I was like, all right, I'm man enough to wear these. I don't give a shit.
That's it.
No,
that's it.
I love that. I remember being at a poker game, and somebody wanted, like, I had my hoodie and everything, and someone's like, oh, we got to take a really good like poker picture of you. And I was like, all right, cool. And I was like, somebody hand me some sunglasses. So I threw on some sunglasses, took my awesome picture, and then later on, somebody's looking at it really close, and they're like, are those Gucci's? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, they're like, yeah, those are women's sunglasses. I'm like, yeah, they are.
Oh, I had like a Michael Scott moment there.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, right. Exactly. The
Absolutely.
big GC right there on the side. I'm like, oh shit, I never even looked at that.
Excellent.
So, okay, the first big question rolling into all of this is, of all the days you can pick, why the fuck was Goth Day the one where, I mean, obviously you've picked other things and you guys have done some really cool stuff, but why Goth Day? Why is that one so important?
Because when you say goth, it has an instant sort of visual aesthetic to it. Like if you tell somebody, hey, Goth Day, immediately something is going to go into their mind. Like they're going to understand sort of the black, sort of the leather, sort of the makeup and that sort of thing. So it's it's a term that you're just like, pop, I understand what that means. And so when we were going to do Goth Day, really it was just, let's just have some fun. Let's modify our characters into this sort of, goth style. But then as we started to design them, Catnip behind me, I got really into the design and I was like, wait a minute. I have these variant dimensions of Critter already established in her book. Instead of just making this Critter wearing a goth costume, why don't I just make sort of a goth world for Catnip to exist in? And then that kind of grew into what we have this year. Last year it was just variant covers. This year it's an actual complete new story, basically creating a completely new universe where all of these BDI characters live together, which doesn't exist anywhere else in the BDI world.
No.
Because there's like Oz is its own thing, Ursa Minor's its own thing, Critter's its own thing, Kaiju Epic it's its own thing. There are no crossover universes. But with Goth Day, all of the rules fall apart. And I have to be really careful because I don't want to throw spoilers out for how this is working, because I want people to read it and kind of be like, oh, snap, I get it. But yeah, that was kind of the whole thing. I was like, you know what? Here's a way to do something really unique, really fun. And that's always at the top of the list. Like, is this going to be fun to do, or is this going to just blow? And it was super fun. And I will 100% agree with CB in that he totally saved this script, because I don't know what the hell I was doing. I was just like throwing words on the page. Like, dude, does this make sense? Like, what if we did this on your panels? What if we did this? And he was like, yeah, I guess I could save your bacon and, make awesome art. And that's what he did. And as soon as the art came in, I was like, what am I looking at? This is bitching. And then I was like, well, now I have to have this colored, and who's gonna be able to do these colors? And the first person I asked was Wes, because he had actually he had colored the original Critter book that we did. Critter or Catnip first appeared in the spinoff comics that we did with CB and Wendy. And so he colored that. And so I was like, well, that's a natural first stopping point. Let's see if he's available. And then when we got to talking, I was like, yeah, but we want to take what you did and go further into sort of this noir superhero style of color. And again, he just took what CB did and just leveled it up again. And I think you guys are going to be blown away when you see this book. There are pages that you can see on the Kickstarter. Like there's like the first 6 pages or so. But as we keep going, you guys are going to lose your mind. It's such a great book.
Right? No, absolutely. And I have seen a bunch of it. You know what, CB, we'll start with you on this one to get the artist into this a little bit. How are you going to attack a thing like Goth Day differently? Like, are we talking heavy inks? Like, how does your work change when you're told, hey, you're doing a goth book?
Well, you know what? Going back to what Tom said about why choose Goth Day, everyone knows goth and it has an aesthetic to it. So it was easy for me to tap into it. And yeah, it was about shadows and mood and, just creating things, using a lot of like dark shadow, negative space. And that's what I wanted to bring to it. I wanted it to feel goth. I wanted it to feel dark. And, ironically enough, I had already been working on some interior pages for Black Rabbit, which I'm releasing later, and that has sort of that feel to it. So I was kind of in that zone to begin with, and I just kind of, took it up a little bit for Goth Day, because it's a different feel. But I really enjoyed it. It's kind of influenced what I've been doing lately, just in general. I found myself using more shadow, using more dark, and I think it sort of pops that way off the page. And as an artist, you're looking for a balance and drawing your eye, throughout the page. And if you look at the interior pages that are posted, you'll see, like, I guess, a little trick of sorts with the music notes. But I'm always very conscientious of trying to pull the reader's eyes and move them along the page when I draw. And so I let the shadows and the music notes and all that kind of work with it. And then Tom had told me that he was going to look to do something a little different with the colors. And I was like, all right, that sounds cool. And I wasn't sure what he meant by that until I saw what Wes did. And it's just beautiful. I mean, it's just the color palette you chose, Wes. It has like this almost like a watercolor. If there's such thing as a Gothic watercolor, that's what it felt like to me.
I like that.
There is now. That's officially trademarked.
Utmost compliment, man. It really is a great synergy going on there. It's a gorgeous looking book.
So I was actually trying to track down the pictures, and I'm not doing that very well at all. And now I can't even get out of here. So I'm just going to keep talking to you guys, and hopefully I get the fuck back out. Wow. So
we've discovered a new talent. Chuck, you are a ventriloquist, apparently. I can't even see your mouth move.
It's like the ultimate mime.
Yeah. And you sound just like Tom when you make that dummy. No.
There he goes.
I got out.
He's back.
I was trying to I found the overlay and I found how to do it, and then I'm like, now I got to try to find the picture. Somebody asked me today, they're like, are you good at StreamYard? I was like, no, I'm competent. Like, I know how to basically run a show with it. Beyond that, that's not my thing. I know the very basics.
It really comes down to whether you choose the red or the blue pill, or the American or the female bacon, whichever. That's going to take you down a wormhole of sorts.
And boy, did I fall down there. I'm glad to be back. Holy crap. And whoa, we have a bunch of people who are asking some questions. Geez, let's find a couple of these. So did you before, and sorry, we will get to Wes in a second to talk about the colors. Brian Manel says, did you guys pull any Gothic inspirations from other sources for your Goth Day creations?
No, we really didn't. Like we said, Catnip was the first one to be designed, and that was done by Lorenzo Lozana. He worked with me to actually create her because I knew that she was going to be sort of this forward character that we were going to continue to use. The others that we did were Naomi from Ursa Minor. This is from last year. Mary Magdalene from Penny for Your Soul, Scheherazade from Scheherazade, and what was the other one? We had 5. Oh, and then Dorothy Gale from Legend of Oz. So the only one that kind of was semi-inspired was Dorothy Gale, because we actually had a cosplayer, Victoria Page, a number of years ago, did a cosplay of Dorothy as sort of like, it wasn't intended to be any sort of like goth thing, but it kind of came off as like a goth sort of barmaid costume. And so when I was talking to David Faude about doing his cover, I was like, what if we kind of did this? And I showed him the picture of what she did. And he was like, yeah, we can fully, riff on that. And I was like, okay, cool. So he kind of took that. We ran with it. Elenia DiNapoli did some colors on it. So the color scheme is a little different than the cosplay, but that was the only one that we had like really an influence from. The rest was just sort of like Mr. Potato Head, like, let's put this here. Does it work? Turn it to the left. Okay, it's better that way. Let's put this here. Should that be fishnet? Should that be just skin? Like, where are we going with this? It was like a big puzzle to figure out all of these different things. The only one that basically just was like whoosh was Nei. I was like, Nei, so do you want to do one of these? She's like, yeah. And I was like, so do you want to do Naomi the little bear? She's like, yeah. And then she came back. She's like, so can I do like white goth instead of like the standard black goth? And I was like, I don't know what that is, but yes, because I know that you know all about this stuff. And so she basically just came in, ran with it, and turned in her piece. And I was just like, well, we're all just going to bow down to Nei because there it is. It's done. And we just let her do her thing. I was like, look, all we need, you can do whatever you want as long as we get sort of the idea that she is Naomi the werebear. We need little bear aesthetics in the costume. And she was like, boom, done. So, but everything else was basically just piecemeal. Like, let's just figure out what's going to look best. And we've even made modifications from what we did last year into this year. Scheherazade does not look like what she did last year. So on and so on. So, and then we're actually introducing new characters this year too. So.
Is there a pressure that you feel kind of trying to make it, especially like this is year 2 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of even looking forward to next year, do you kind of have is there a pressure on you to, okay, how are we going to change this up, make this different? How much are we going to have to talk to Nei to get all that goth stuff out of her brain and onto the page?
Yeah, well, and she did I told her this year, I was like, do you want, because I gave Naomi to Bill McKay to draw. Because we just have new artists doing the covers this time. But I was like, well, we have to have Nei do another one. And I was like, do you want to do another one? She was like, yeah. And I was like, well, we want to do Scarlet from Kaiju Epic. Do you want to do like this design and then kind of like do, and I basically, this is the only thing I told her was, do you want to do sort of like a, what do they call that? Where it's got like a frame or like an Art Nouveau type of thing with like musical notes. And she was like, yeah. And so we got Scarlet Delight. And that's the cover that she did. So she knocked it out of the park. She's awesome. And, but yeah, every time you do design, I mean, when you talk to me, everybody knows design is so important. Design is so important. And I focus on it maybe almost too much in some cases. And so, but when we were doing these, I was like, man, I don't know if I like this. Let's fix that. And we came up with what we got. So it is pressure. Every time you do something again, you have to figure out how to take it up another step. And so I'm already working on Goth Day 2022. I'm already figuring out what it's going to be, how it's going to work, and so on. Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So, Wes, we did kind of skip over you. You and I did talk about this, but I would love for you to at least kind of give a breakdown about the colors. And it was funny because when you described the colors, you exploded my stupid little brain. Like it was just like a whole other level. Because it's funny when they talk about flats, often you'll see, like, oh, I flatted this, and it's just a bunch of like matte colors. There's no kind of life to the picture or anything like that. But you didn't do anything like that at all. Do you want to kind of take people through that and kind of explain sort of what you had to do to really give that goth feel to it?
Yeah. Well, first was we were trying to nail down the style and the approach to the colors because, like Tom said, he was wanting to try something different. He was like, hey, I want to do a black and white comic, but I want it to be in color.
Because that makes sense.
But he sent me a picture. I don't have a clue who the artist was. I don't even know if you know, Tom, but he sent me a JPEG of this really cool looking piece that was pretty much in grayscale, and it had just accents of purples and oranges and green just buried in the rendering. It's like, man, that's pretty rad. I didn't know how to do that. I'll be honest. It's like, I don't know how to do that, but I have an idea because I had told him, it's like, man, I've been thinking about this for something else that I'll be doing in the future, and this will kind of help me figure that out. So I was like, all right, grayscale with pops of color. So I took it and I rendered everything black and white, shades of gray, and tried to establish most of the depth of field and atmosphere and stuff. And then from there, it's like, all right, well, we got this big moon. Like, I could leave the moon white, or maybe we can go yellow, and that give you attention to the moon, or is it blue? I can't even remember off the top of my head right now. I'm not looking at the page, but it was blue. And then I'm a big fan of like Batman the animated series, and whenever they did skies, it was never a dark blue sky, or it was always red or orange for night sky. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go red sky, and there's a cityscape, so we'll do lights from the city, and all that was gonna be in color. So all that just pops. And then Tom was specific. It's like, I want the catnip's blue to pop off the page. Like, And I think he even said the capes are almost, I think he said something like iridescent or something like that. They're so blue, they're white almost. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So, and it was, we'll hit those blues right there. And then, well, she's got that cool red streak in her hair. So we're going to give her red and then red lips. So it just became what made sense here and there. And then, you know, it was trial and error. I mean, it wasn't, fortunately, I think we got most of it down in the first pass, but it was just playing a little bit and pushing a little further. And other pages have proven a little more challenging than others. But I think we're getting there. You know, we got a couple pages that Tom had me go dark. I was like, man, those pages are dark. I hope they print, but they look pretty cool. So it's been a fun challenge, man. It's different than anything I've done, at least that I can recall. So that's always fun because a lot of times you get in a rut, do kind of the same thing over and over again. So it's cool to get new and unique challenges and styles and things to try. I mean, that's a lot of the fun for me.
Yeah, Wes pretty much knocked this down. I mean, the edits on this are more just let's pop that color, just tiny little aesthetic elements. But as a whole, he's in there. He's got it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It was weird because again, color is my weakest spot of all of them, and all I could say is it's not like anything I've seen before, but I don't know why. That's really all I could do, and it was great because Wes and I then got to sit down one day. I got to do an interview with him, and he actually he went through, and that's where the idea to do this interview came from, is because Tom, you ended up hopping in, and you're like, let's just really talk about this, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And yeah, man, just being able to learn that and kind of see how you set everything up and how you did that was so informative. So for you guys out there, you have a really cool chance here. We've got absolutely amazing people from, most of the fields. You've got an awesome writer and editor. You've got a badass colorist and an absolutely killer penciler and inker. So if you guys have any questions about the processes that they go through and all that kind of stuff, this is your shot. You can get all of that right now, especially with them working together. And what's cool about all three of you guys is you also all have your own properties. Like none of you wears, and I mean, most of us as creators, we don't wear a singular hat, but none of you is, all of us are blank and publisher. But even then, you still wear a bunch of other hats. Like even for yourself, Tom, you and I are mostly writers, but you're also editing and you're doing a bunch of other stuff, and you're wrangling talent, which is not easy at all, especially having to deal with assholes like Steph and guys like that. You know what I mean? And whoever else. I won't specifically. I'll only mention the assholes who deserve to be mentioned. Jack came in here and he said, Wes, are you wearing any of your own swag?
Yesterday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, not today. Today's low pants.
See, the only swag he is wearing is that if you were to go to his website, you can actually buy that beard. That's an official Sasquatch beard.
Man, I should offer that. Like, put it up on the stories. Like, hey, I'll just shave this off for however much money. You can have it.
You got to make it worthwhile. Like, I remember someone coming to me and being like, if you shave your face, I'll give you $20. And I was like, I would do a lot of stupid shit for $20, but I have a fucking baby face. It will take more than $20 to get me to shave my face, in all honesty. I don't want to look 17 again. Really don't. Especially being a chubby 17. Yeah, I'm good. Trish came on and said the characters this year are so amazing. Wish all of them could be my profile pick.
Yeah, so her profile right there, that's Naomi. That's the one that Nei designed. Right? Yeah, Nei designed that one last year, but Bill drew it this year. Yes. Yeah. Bill and Sanju.
That's really badass. Yeah, I really like that a lot. Steph is a wrangle. Yes, it's very true. Even in his own show, he has to be wrangled. Holy shit. So for you guys, for the artists, having to work on you can't pass for 17. Okay, I'll take that. I'll own that.
It's a
When I
Canadian
didn't have
17.
so much great, yeah, it's more stressful up north.
Yeah.
So you guys tend to like you guys have your own projects and work for your own stuff. What is the big difference, say, working on your own stuff and then working specifically for a BDI project? Because Tom seems to, from the outside, I've never worked for Tom, so, and you know, you might have to mince your words because you do want to work again, but he seems to be this guy who has a mixture of chill but also very professional, and there's a certain thing that I kind of need to see here for this to work. So for you guys, what is that like? How is that how do you handle that?
You want to go first, Wes, or
You can go. It's all good.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, like I started working for Tom, I mean, almost 10 years ago. It was about,
It was like year 2 for us, yeah.
And so for me, it was all new working with him and just getting a feel. And I feel like this this was the first project where I turned in a couple pages and he was like, "Holy shit, dude." And I was like, "Is that a good holy shit, dude? Or does this mean I got to redraw all 3?" He's like, "No, this is freaking awesome." And I was like, "All right, okay, so I'm in Tom's world now. I finally kind of got it." But no, I mean, you get used to like I feel like I get Tom now. And that goes for any new person you're working with. You try to tap into, because they have a vision. And that's one thing I'll say about Tom is Tom has a vision and he wants to see something done and put out a certain way. And I respect that, because like when I do, you know, my gig for my books and I'm hiring artists and colorists, like I have to wear that hat too. And, you know, I get that. So Chuck, you kind of summed it up pretty well. You know, Tom's pretty chill. He's never, you know, anyone who, like, I've never heard him get angry about anything, but he'll be like, do this or do that. And, you know, sometimes I might fight him and I'll say like, you know, Tom, I don't know if you want to do that. Like, I think it works better this way. And he's like, well, let's see. And then we do it. And, you know, maybe that works and maybe it doesn't, but, you know, that's kind of what it is. And it's never anything egregious. So yeah.
I knew that I could ask that question and not feel like I was gonna, it was gonna be rough, because I was like, he seems like a really cool guy. So
yeah,
hopefully everyone's good. What about you, Wes?
No, I'll echo a lot of that. I mean, because ultimately the difference between doing this stuff for Tom and doing my own thing is, on this one, Tom's the boss and he has a vision. So my job is to help realize his vision. So even when I may not always agree, I'm going to usually defer to his judgment, because it's what he wants, and that's my job to facilitate that. And usually I don't think we really have any arguments. Sometimes it's like, Tom, I'm tired of making changes, bro. But it really hasn't been bad. So that's just, I don't know. I've been doing this a while, so I've become, I don't know, fairly gun for hire, mercenary type mindset. So when I'm working freelance, it's like, okay, what do you want? That is my goal, is what do you want as the editor, as the writer, as the person paying the bills. So that's my job, and to make you happy. And so on the flip side, when it's my stuff, I'm never happy with me. So it's a little easier to work with Tom than it is for me when it comes to my own stuff, because that's why everything takes so long.
Because eventually with Tom, there will be a point where he's
happy. He's like, "Oh, dude, that's great. I love it." It's like, sweet, I can stop.
Yeah, there was a moment when we were trying to figure out how to deal with the musical notes that took us quite a bit of like black, white, clear, like spread the art into it. Like, how the hell do we make this work? And finally it was just like, okay, let's try this way. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's it. That's it. But it did take some back and forth. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate, Wes sticking with it and trying to, and as we talk about some of those pages later too, it's like, now we got to go darker, man. We got to go, this is like give me a mood in here. Like, and so it's great when I had this today with an artist who's turning in a cover. I was like, we got to fix some things. And he was like, okay, tell me, let's fix some things. And we just kept back and forth, fix it. Done. We got it. And those are the great experiences, and I appreciate all the artists that, kind of hang with it on those edits.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, Phil brought up a really good point while we're on this specific subject. He said, how difficult is it to switch gears from projects to this one being a different level of comics? So I guess what he's kind of trying to say there is, from the regular way that you work and then suddenly having to kind of step back and looking at it from a very different perspective, how is it to switch those gears? And then, of course, switch back into what you normally do.
I'll take that one first. I don't know if I would say so much switching levels, in that, like, I always want to put my best work forward. So that's always the bottom line for me, whether it's my project or someone else's. I never want to put my name on it if it isn't my best work, because not only is that reflective of me, but it's, I want to put on a good show. I want to give the money's worth to whoever it is I'm working for. But when I'm going to take this a little bit different in terms of a different level, in that, talking about this having to have a certain feel to it, I take that as a challenge as an artist, and I love it. Because, like I said, I took some stuff away from this, and I found some new techniques while I was drawing it, because I was working with so much shadow and so much black, that I was able to carry that into some of my other works. And not only like just the look, but the technique of creating things. I found new techniques on how to create fur, how to create kind of a leather texture. So that was really kind of cool. And as an artist, as a creator, I always try to challenge myself, whether it's a new look, a new angle. I usually drive myself crazy with new angles. And then I want to shoot myself, because I'm like, why did I do this perspective? I hate myself. And then, I get into my head and I say, I should just redraw this whole thing. And then I shut the computer down and I come back the next day and pray it looks better than what I remembered. And then I end up redrawing. But I like it as a challenge. I think it's cool,
I love it there, CBT. We had a moment from you where I heard that Northerner come out, where you're like, we have some of that shadow, and I was like, yes, he threw the Y into the shadow. Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm home again. I'm gonna put on my parka. What about you, Wes?
It's a little bit of switching gears, but it's not so much hard for me to switch into the coloring freelancer job, because that's been the bulk of my career, where I've spent most of it. So it's kind of just like, okay, so let me take all this other writing and wrangling artists and everything else, and business and admin and all that. It's like, oh, I can just put that aside. Whereas I'm able to I can multitask a little bit better when I'm just coloring. Like, yeah, I'll push myself and do things like this. There's definitely unique challenges in this. I'm like, okay, how do I make that work? Which is always great, and I enjoy that. But that's kind of where I'm, I guess, most comfortable right now. So, the creative part is it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy that probably more than anything right now. But that's where I'm least comfortable, because it's freaking hard, but it's awesome. And coloring is just, it's like second nature to me right now. So I can shift into that gear, and I know if I really need to get something done in a certain amount of time, I'm very conscious of what I can do in a specific amount of time, if and when I need to. So shifting gears isn't too big an issue, as long as I'm shifting, like, oh, I'm going into coloring. Okay, I can I'll spend my mornings writing usually, and I'll get my creative juices flowing that way before breakfast, before anybody's awake. And then once I get into the afternoon, when I sit down while my daughter's sleeping, that's when I start my work for the day. And that's usually when I get back into coloring and everything. And I can just roll right into that pretty easily. Whereas if I try to start writing in the middle of the day, it's like, I might short circuit myself or end up screwing around online.
Yeah. Tom, what about for yourself as someone who has to analyze the aesthetics of so many different projects? They all have different looks and whatnot. Of course, Camp Day is going to be so much more different from Goth Day and then all your other projects. Do you feel like you kind of have to like give yourself a second and sort of remind yourself, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I need to look at? Or how does that look for you?
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, from a writing sense, you gotta be ready to play in that sandbox. You know, if I was writing Goth Day yesterday and today I got to write Camp Rad Dog, that's like 180-degree turn from tone and what you're trying to accomplish. So you got to really be ready to focus in on. Okay, I'm not in the dark shadows of the buildings anymore. I'm on the beach. I'm on the lake. I'm on the boats. It's a completely different world, and you got to be ready to dive into that and really make that world, come to life, just like you did with the shadows in the buildings. So yeah, it can be difficult. It certainly can be difficult. It's one of the reasons why I like having like 3 or 4 projects kind of happening, because that way, for sure, at least one of them I'll be able to like vibe into on the day and be like, is it superheroes? Is it Westerns? Is it summer camp? What am I feeling like today? And then I can find it and run with it.
Yeah. No, I totally feel you. Steph, so you're going to tell me to talk to Tom about writing, that I should take notes. And then you tell me that I need to worry about my backdrop when your fucking backdrop is a towel, motherfucker. So, and then you want me to learn about writing. You draw circles. Chill out. Calm down. Your lane is over there. We're going to be okay. All right. I love that asshole so much. Jack Napier says, are any of you wearing any of your own swag, not including Tom's ears?
Huh? Right there.
Not today.
Camp crossover pin right there.
You got your button? That's
courtesy of Trish.
Oh, she's awesome. Yeah, I got a bunch of buttons too. She's just the best. I don't tend to wear my own swag very often. Maybe even at conventions I don't usually, because you're surrounded by banners and shit. So usually I'm going to wear something else that draws people in besides my own shit. You know, like something that gives the other layers of what what my brand is.
Right. 100% right. Yeah. I've told this before. That I have had no shirt that I have ever worn that has got me more customers than wearing a Jaws shirt at Comic-Con, because people, number one, they know what it is. Number two, they like it. And number three, if they like it and they see you wearing it, they assume you like it. And if the two of you like the same thing and you're a creator, then maybe I like what you created. That's the logic train, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's the trick, Jack. So there you go, man. What else do we have going on? Oh, no. That's it for now. One thing, yeah, see, people do. They love Jaws. Absolutely amazing. You're totally right. So I wanted to talk to you real quick, Tom, about, obviously people come back, they come in for the amazing art, but they come back for the storytelling and whatnot. So what you do there, it's, yeah, right. But something that I don't think a lot of people may ask about or think about is there has to be a level of aesthetic, of an eye that you have. Like your level as a talent scout is something that I don't think people talk enough about. And I feel like there's even people who were otherwise not really known that well that you have kind of been able to bring in and just be like, dude, what this guy is doing is fucking awesome. What is it that you're seeing, or what is it that you're kind of looking for when you're setting your talent up for your books?
I mean, it varies a little from book to book because, certain art styles aren't going to work with certain things. But, I mean, I've just been an art fan like my whole life. I was an art dealer for a while, just sort of on the side, nothing like heavy duty, but I used to buy and sell art pages and stuff. So, I've always loved art. I've always been into that ever since literally since Todd McFarlane, the first Todd McFarlane Spider-Man book I bought, and I looked at it and I said, well, this looks different. Something's different here than what I've seen in comics before. That's when I started to kind of figure out that, oh, there's like different styles and like different ways of doing things. I just got into the art. And so when we started BDI now 11 years ago, I told my partner at the time, it was, look, all of our art has to stand up next to, I have to be able to put our book next to a Marvel book, a DC book, a Dark Horse book, and it has to stand up to it. Because if we don't visually stand up to sort of the standard, quote unquote, then we're already 50% behind everybody else. It doesn't matter how good our stories are. If people look at the art and they're like, I can do without that. And so I always went hard on art, to try and find stuff that was going to both fit the style and be hopefully, at least in my mind, a visual that when someone that has never seen it before walks by it, they'll stop and they'll be like, what is that? I don't know what that is, but it looks cool. And so part of that is not just the art style, but the ability to bring the character to life, in poses and stuff. Oftentimes people can do decent art, but the poses are stiff. You can't really get the flow of a character, like people that draw the Hulk can't necessarily draw Spider-Man because they're completely different. They require different, energy. And so I've always been aware of that. Like, okay, if I'm going to have this, we need this. I'm going to have this, we need this. So it's the one thing in all of this time that I will pat myself on the back for is finding artists, both as far as like getting some of the names to work with, because we've worked with gigantic names in this industry, but more so just, finding folks that are good and haven't had that door open for them yet. And I'm like, yes, the door's open, like step in, like, let's go right now. Jen Broomall, we found early. Natalie Sanders, we found early. Ian Snyder doing interiors. FICO Osio is off doing stuff for Marvel now. He did Critter for years and years. Jose Luis, the first guy I ever hired and did a job. He did one issue, got hired by DC. So that's the one thing I'll pat myself on the back for is the art side of things. And then, like you said, hopefully people read the books after they look at all the pretty pictures, and they like what they're reading.
Yeah, no, and that was something right away that I very much saw. I was like, okay, he has an eye. Like that's huge. And I mean, obviously that goes into everything you guys do. So that's amazing. So yeah, I would pat you on the back for that as well. Like that is, it is a big deal. I mean, at least start with that, and then you can work on the rest. Okay, so you guys all have your own worlds, your own universes and whatnot. We're talking about Goth Day today. If there was a day of the year that you could take, obviously, Tom, this is going to be a little more difficult because you're already doing it. But for the rest of you, if there's a day of the year that you guys could take and do something similar for your own stuff, what would you guys, what day do you think you would take and play with?
Wow.
And don't take any of the ones that I already have, because I already have the checklist, Bikini Day, Underwear Day, Princess Day. It's over, people. Don't use those.
Oh, shit.
And I'm guessing, like, you could throw out Waffle Day, and there's got to be a Waffle Day. I mean,
sure. Well, Jim Noble had Toast Day,
right?
Yeah, so, Jim Noble did a Toast Day book. So there is almost a day for just about everything that you can imagine. Yeah.
I guess I would I don't know. I would go with it if it's industry style. Alien Day, probably April 26th, which is also Outpost Studios Day.
April 26th is Alien Day.
Yeah, 426. LV 426.
Oh, okay.
Come on, Tom. Wow. You're supposed to be aficionado on all things movie.
Nah, not on that crap.
Yeah. So I would stake my claim there, and then I don't know, Thong Day would be the other one, maybe. Motorboat Day. I don't know.
I would like to see Mike dressed up in some some alien gear with a thong. Just go all out with all of it. Put it all together.
Yeah, mash it all up.
That's good. What about you, Wes?
Bro, I don't know. Is there a Bigfoot day right now?
There has to
Oh, I'm sure there's a Bigfoot
There's
day.
probably one, right?
There's got to be a
Bigfoot
squatching
pounds.
day of some sort.
Oh yeah.
Right?
So,
Every day is Bigfoot Day.
Cryptozoic day, I guess. We'll go with that.
Yeah,
National
even-
Bigfoot Day is April 8th.
Oh, so you guys are
Well,
close
there you go.
together too. There'd be some
There you-
competition going on there.
Bro,
What is it about,
I think my campaign launched on that day.
dude? Now you got to do that more often.
Mhm.
I'll have to look. Or it was like 8th or 9th, something like that.
Scott came
I
out
didn't
and
even
said that
know.
Wendy already claimed International Stripper Day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think every day is porn day, man. I don't think there's a specific day. That's every day.
Yeah.
Well, I got so far off track. I'm not even sure how to bring this back in at this point. What? Okay. So what are the, for all three of you, what are the big next things that we're going to be seeing from you guys moving on down the road? So Tom, for you, now that we're settling off on Goth Day, what do we got coming up next? The big next thing.
Yeah, the next thing is July with Jim Noble, and it's Camp Rad Dog. It's our crossover with Totally Rad Comics. We're gonna have dueling Kickstarters launching at the same time, ending at the same time. We have a full 3-week slate of we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. It is knocked down. It is in place. It's gonna be really fun. And then we'll be doing the final installment of Oz in October later in this year, and then Mr. Zane and I have an already announced crossover. It's a like we have Catnip is a variation of Critter. We have another one that we call the Cat Girl of Mars, and the Cat Girl of Mars will be going into the suck into a crossover later today. Later today. We're launching it later today. CB, I didn't tell you, but today it's happening. Later this year, the Cat Girl of Mars goes into the suck, so that'll be super fun.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool. And before we move on with the other guys, you did mention Camp Rad Dog a couple times, and look, I know people have some fun with Jim. He's a lot of fun, and he always comes off, and it feels really silly, but he gets a lot of work done.
Sure.
What was it like to have to sit down with him and work on this?
Oh, it's brutal. It's fucking brutal. I just like the guy is just
herding cats.
I'm telling you, he is the king of the cat people. Camp Rad Dog came about because of Phil Locklear. Phil Locklear used to do a show last year called Unscripted, where I was invited on a number of times, and I started to become a regular. Jim was already on there, and we would Jim and I. There's no reason Jim and I should be friends. We're polar opposites in personality. Completely North Pole, South Pole. But I think because both of us understand that when we're ragging on each other, it's not real. Like, we just have fun with the back and forth, we have managed a friendship that's just like, yeah, I can tease him about making 5-page comic books and and all that kind of stuff, and it's fine. There's no personal attack there, and so we just got to be friends on the show, and little jokes would come out on the show, like, oh, I'm doing this. Oh, we should do that. That's where the toast thing came from. We were talking about, I think, Bikini Day or Princess Day or something that I was doing. And somebody in the room was like, yeah, there's probably like a toast day. And so I looked it up, and there was a toast day. And suddenly we were talking about making a toast comic. And he did it. He made a toaster day comic this year. It came out, Killer Toasty, the Killer Toaster. And so one of the things that we were talking about was, we should just do like a dueling, like, summer camp thing, like, as a joke, just talking about it on Unscripted. And we just kept talking about it. Finally, it was like January, and I was like, are we doing this? Like, is it happening? Like, what's going on? And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so we took the next couple of months to kind of be like, what the hell is it? How's it going to work? What are the details? And by about end of February, early March, we had it pretty much locked down. And it should be super fun. It's going to be pure parody. There's nothing serious about anything Jim does, but There's be nothing serious about this book. It is pure parody. The idea is that all of my characters get together, go to this summer camp called Camp Crossover. His characters go over to a place called Camp Retro, and they're separate stories. But there will be some, little Easter egg connecting things that we're going to do. In fact, CB is going to be doing one of those little things here for us. So yeah, that's it should be pretty fun. It's totally outside my wheelhouse, which is good to kind of like, hey, do something you haven't done before. It's like when I did Lights Camera Jungle. I'd never really written like slice of life or comedy of any kind. I was like, I don't know if I can even do this. But we just powered through, made the book, and people dug on it. So now I'm kind of leaning on that Lights Camera Jungle stuff to figure out how to do this summer camp thing.
Can we expect to see lots of connecting covers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've already discussed that. There's basically week 2 is the Camp Olympics. And so you're going to get, like, for example, let's say there's a swimming, right? You'll have one cover that'll be my character swimming. The other character will be Jim's swimming, but then they'll connect together. So it'll be like a competition style thing, but each cover will stand on its own, and you'll be able to get his from him, mine from mine. And then if you want both, you get both. And if you want both and you pledge for both, we will have a special patch that you will earn for backing both campaigns, for backing that specific event. So there's like swimming, there's like running, bicycling, whatever. So automatically, if you buy both of the books from both campaigns, you'll get a bonus item too. So yeah.
So we're going to have just people with all these patches all over.
Yeah, it's like totally like Boy Scouts, man. You're going to have like the sash, like putting it all on there. 100%. Yeah.
All right. Wes, what do we see coming out of your camp in the next several months?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm putting the finishing touches on issue 5 of Sasquatch, trying to get it to print this week or beginning of next at the latest. And then Goth Day, and the next main priority after that is getting issue 6 of Sasquatch done. That's the conclusion of volume 1. It's a 30-page issue. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and just bringing all the story threads together. It's going to be a monster. I'm looking forward to it, but I'm also intimidated.
I'm intimidated for you. Having read issue 5, I'm like, oh, cool. You've got a lot of plates in the air, and it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's I was trying to design the series to be each issue stand on its own. I just could not make the last issue one issue. I couldn't do it. I'm not that good, or it was impossible. I don't know which. And so it became 2 issues, and then even the second issue became 30 pages, and that was even after trimming it down a couple more pages. Like, I gotta get it down. I can't afford to pay this much. So, yeah, it's awesome. It's gonna be fun, man. It's been a long time coming. It's a project that's been in the works about 10 years. So I'm excited to get it done, but it's also kind of bittersweet that, like, oh, that's coming to an end for now. There'll be more. That's after that, it's coming up with all the next stuff and getting those in production. But yeah.
And that's just such a fun book, man. Like, honestly, that is like one of my favorite books out there right now. Sasquatch is it's just pure fun. Like, seriously, guys, if you've never checked it out, go check out Sasquatch. It's just it's wacky, but it still has its own intellectual take and whatnot. Like, it's not complete pratfall bullshit. It still has its own emotional value and whatnot, and yet it's just so fun. I'm
still super, super upset that he has Space Vegas and I don't have Space Vegas. I'm very upset about that.
Space Vegas, man.
Yeah. As soon as I heard about Space Vegas, I was like, damn it. That's one I missed.
It's pretty great too. Well, I mean, at least you've got Penny for Your Soul, so you have
part of Vegas, but I don't know. Space Vegas is pretty cool.
And CB, what about you, man?
Whew. I have a lot coming up, and I'm just trying to figure out how it's all going to fall into place. So 1 week from today, I launch Might #1. So she'll be on her own, and hopefully, fingers crossed, everything goes well with with her because I've already written and drawn issue 2, so I'm ready to roll with that. I'm currently working on Scorpiana number 3, which should launch at some point this year. I have finished up writing and drawing Black Rabbit, which will launch later. And what I like about all 3 of those titles is that, Might is my PG superhero book. Scorpiana is probably more of the R-rated superhero book. It's not raunchy. It has some R-rated elements to it. And then I decided to take it a step further, and Black Rabbit's actually going to be kind of an erotica book. It has a story, but I'm doing something completely different with the visuals inside, and trying to do something really cool with the colors. So I'm really excited to have that. I've been kind of describing it as kind of like Catwoman meets 50 Shades of Grey. So it's something completely different for me. But I wanted to, I don't know, push the limits a little bit because I haven't with any of my other stuff, and just see how it goes. And if it's received well, I'll do a little bit more. And then, I have some ideas that, we'll parlay off of that. Tom already mentioned Cat Girl from Mars and, Into the Suck. So that's going to be happening. And then I've already started writing the next series of Into the Suck, which is Further Into the Suck. So I have probably about 3/4 of that book drawn, and the entire series is written. So I feel like if you could, draw me as a cook, I'd have about 4 ovens going and they're all on, and I'm just like, woo! I don't know. I hope I don't burn anything. So
octopus arms going on.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Into the Suck. How intimidating was it moving forward with Into the Suck? Of course, Keith Thomas passed away a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. I never got to meet him, but I've only heard good things about the guy. How intimidating is it for you having to move in and do that next series without him? Was there a lot of notes left behind, or is this mostly your vision?
There wasn't notes left behind. It was interesting. After he passed, he sent me his computer, and I thought going through it, I'd find some more notes about Into the Suck, and there wasn't. So I had to rely on what we had talked about. So I knew the avenue that we wanted to go, the direction we wanted to go, with the next series. So that's what I had to work with. So it was intimidating because, he was so passionate about it. And, I could let him be the voice and I could be the style. So when I wrote it, I had to sort of, look at what Keith did. And luckily, he created such a rich universe and such great characters that it was easy for me to get my head into the characters. I just hope that I do his comedy, the funny moments that he brings, the levity that he brings into his stories, some justice with this next one. And the thing that I think makes it easier is that I've gotten the blessing of so many of his friends about doing it, and they are so thankful that this is continuing, and it was our vision. And so yeah, I don't know that I would say it's intimidating. I just want to do it justice, I think is the biggest thing there. So
yeah, I appreciate that, man. And that sounds about the healthiest way you can kind of handle it. Yeah. So I think that's great. Are we going to be seeing with Might? One of the first time I ever saw Might was when I saw December Lace as Might. So are we going to be seeing some kind of cosplay cover or something like that?
Not with this issue, but I would love to do it later on, and maybe even some prints along the line. December was so good. Morgan Bailey, Willow did Might. There were so many great cosplays of Might. So I know it's just a matter of contacting people once it kind of falls into, its little niche. But I wanted to get her out there one more time before I started bringing in the cosplay aspect of it, but absolutely at some point. And once we have live cons again, I would love to have some of my characters right there with me at some of the booths.
Yeah.
I think that would be a blast. So, yeah, I mean, definitely.
Has there been talk about you guys doing another Unity Con? Because that was really cool. I know a lot of people enjoyed that.
It's a possibility. It's a matter. I mean, even when we did it last year, it was a matter of like because we all have so many projects happening. It's like, is there a moment where it can kind of like reach a point where we all are like, oh, there it is. But like we just laid out. I mean, just look at what CB just laid out for like the next year.
Right.
And then I didn't even tell you what I'm doing next year already. So it's a little bit of chaos, to be perfectly honest. And but anything's possible. It's planning. It's putting things together. I mean, the only reason it happened the first time was because Wendy and I were able to get together and talk about it, and no one's been able to get together and talk about anything, like Conway's for a year plus. So, I think it's going to take a while before things kind of get back into whatever, kind of normal is. And then who knows? Then we'll see what can happen.
Right.
That's awesome. So Brian Manell, he loves to come in and ask big questions. So here we go. Is there a separation or difference between great-looking art versus art that tells a story or elevates the script? If so, what are some of those aspects you look for when trying to sell a story through your art?
Is there give me that again?
Is there a separation or difference between great-looking art versus art that tells a story
and elevates a script? 100%. And I think you'll see that in this Goth Day book, because there is always just great art. Like, hey, that looks really good. That looks awesome. But telling the story is a different level of skill. And just because you can draw a good character or a good car or whatever doesn't mean you can tell a story. And even if you look back at CB Zane's stuff previously, you're going to see that he can tell a story, but he took this script and while I wrote these things into the script, he still had to figure out a way to visualize how to take these musings of this insane lunatic trying to tell a story and turn it into an actual visual, especially with all these musical notes and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely a difference between just good art and good storytelling. And there's good storytelling with weak art. You can have weak art and it can still tell a story very, very well. And just the flip side, you can have great art that's just like static and doesn't move the story along. So there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I was working with a newer writer and she wanted help picking an artist. And she said, here's my list of a bunch of artists I want to look at. And, we'll just pick our favorites. And so there was one that she picked as one of her favorites. And I actually had them like at the bottom of my list. And she said, well, why is that guy at the bottom of your list? His stuff's amazing. I was like, he has no sequentials. And she was like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, we need to know that they can do sequentials. Pretty pictures, we can find those guys. That's not an issue. Yeah. But if they can't tell the story inside, that's not going to help you at all. And she was like, oh, great. And I was like, especially as someone who's newer to this, you're going to need someone who can kind of do a little bit more heavy lifting. And so to have a cover artist coming in and doing your interiors, probably not what you want. She was like, okay, great. So yeah, there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about sequentials is the storytelling element. And when I was going to cons when I was younger and showing my art around, I mean, the one thing that was just drilled into my head was you got to be able to tell a story. And the best way that was explained to me was someone should be able to flip through a book and know what's going on without reading a word. And so that's always been my approach. First and foremost in telling the story. And then the second is just finding more interesting ways to tell it.
Yeah, like you were talking about the angles and the perspectives and stuff. Yeah.
But sometimes it's even more than that. Like I'll use this for an example. Like in a movie, if you're watching and the camera pans across a bedroom and you see a wedding picture there, and then you see a broken mirror and you see lipstick laying on the ground, and then a little spot of blood, instantly you know that there was probably some domestic that took place, and that pan took all about 3 seconds. So, sometimes the storytelling for me isn't just the action that's happening in the panel, but the world that character is in, you know. So like with Goth Day, like I knew I had to draw a diner at some point, and I wanted to have a specific look for the diner that was different, gothy, maybe not gothy. It you know, and the atmosphere that I had to draw this in was really, really cool. So it wasn't just, oh, we'll just throw a city back here. No. I wanted the city to have a certain mood and a feel to it, a certain structure to it. And part of that was in Tom's words, and part of that was, I guess, embellishing it a little bit and bringing it to life. So I don't know. It's fun to I really enjoy doing sequentials, and even that idea of telling a story, I find myself I do that with my covers too a lot. People might look at some of my covers and say, well, you know, you do pinup stuff a lot, and I guess I do, but even that, to me, like I it needs to be the character, you know. The pinup to me has to say something. So like if I use the example of the Sunshine cover I did for Mike coming up, yeah, she's sitting there in a bikini, you know, and she's holding up this rock with her logo on it. So it conveys her power, but the sunshine element is supposed to convey her personality. She's sunshine. She's happy-go-lucky, you know, she got superpowers, and it wasn't like Peter Parker where he was like, what the hell do I do now? Like I got to swing. I can't do. She's like, hey, this is pretty cool. Look at me now. Like this, I can do some good with this. And so that's, you know, she's the G Willikers, like, you know, really, you know, but she's not afraid to jump in. So the Sunshine is more than just the cheesecake thing. It's her, and you know, so that's the storytelling element that I think I try to throw into a lot of my covers, and certainly, to me, absolutely has to be there with the interiors.
And I'll tell you, the art sometimes will translate back to the writing. And one of the examples is what Wes was talking about, and it happened in this book, is when he made the red sky for our city. As I was, because we're doing things kind of all at the same time. So we have these pages, and CB's done, and then he's moving on while I'm ahead on the writing. But then Wes is coloring, and so I'm watching the coloring come in on the early pages as I'm kind of wrapping up the script. And when he did the red sky, it actually triggered a memory in my head that my dad used to have a boat, and he would have the old sailor sayings like red sky at night, sailor's delight, red sky at morning, sailors take warning. So when he had that red sky, and I was actually writing a scene at the beach with the waves and everything, I was like, I'm going to put that in the book, because Wes made the sky red, and it all tied right back together. So that little moment probably wouldn't have made it in if he had made it a purple sky or something like that. So a lot of times I'm kind of working back into my script as these guys are working forward, so that I can kind of match up some of the stuff that they do visually.
Because when it comes to the art, you don't want any of the artists really just to parrot the words. You know, as a collaborative team, you want each other to play off each other and enhance each other's work. It's like one of the short stories that I'm hoping that will be in the eventual collected edition for Sasquatch. It features one of the side characters, Crimson Ombre, and the dude's like really heavily scarred. He's introduced in Sasquatch, but we get a little bit more of a short 4-page story with him. And when my artist was drawing that, the way he staged everything was like, oh, hey, he's going through the city, he's doing all his bad things to the crowd there. But when you finally get a really good look at him, he staged it so he's kind of like Two-Face almost, with all the scarring. So that reveal ends up becoming all this gnarly scarring, and it's just kind of a horrific reveal. And it's like, man, I was just like, hey, he's going through the hall, going through the street, doing his thing, coming outside, and like he turned it into a much more creepy vibe than even I was in. It is like, dude, you made that so much better. And that's what I want. I don't want to hire somebody who's like, hey, just draw what I'll write on the page, because I'm hoping that you as the artist, I'm paying you as the artist to be better at visuals than I am. I'm a very visual person.
100%. Yeah.
But you need to have your input and take it to the next level and make it your own and make it better. Because if you make me look good, I'm happy, and hopefully I'll help you look good too.
Yeah. No, I think I totally feel you there. I mean, and we'll see it an awful lot where I've spoken to many writers who will say, even when I've finished my script and sent it off, that dialogue isn't 100%. There's a good chance it's going to get changed because I'm going to see something amazing that the artist has done, and that's going to make me go, oh, cool. There's a different way to look at this that I didn't think of, and I get to play more. So it's kind of a layered inspiration, which I think is really cool. A great aspect of making comics.
You got it.
Go
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You sure? Because I'm always willing to listen.
All I was going to say is the more your team can talk and work together, the better off the project will be at the end. That's it.
Yeah, that's 100%. Absolutely. I totally agree. Phil asks, how do you keep up with all the facets of producing a project, from writing, art, editing, marketing, all of that? Good luck, guys.
Yeah, that's it. It is kind of good luck. I mean, all of us probably are a little bit different at that because we all do different things. We all have different stuff going on. It's just kind of figuring. I mean, marketing, basically, especially when you have a Kickstarter running, marketing is just you know you have to do it every day. Every day you have to get on there, make your posts, put it in the groups, maybe do a live update. Hey, we're at $9,911. We're almost at stretch goal number 5. Hint, 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 hint. We're almost at stretch goal number 5, guys. Hint, hint, hint. And then the rest is just, you have to know your deadlines. You got to try and hit those things as best you can. And everything has to kind of just find its way to Tetris into itself.
No.
Wine and beer.
Yeah, I mean... that actually sounds like a real plan.
Yeah, sometimes it is a very real plan. It's like, man, I'm ready to roll. I just need this cover to come in, and or all right, I have to sit down and get this done today. But it is a juggling act, and I'm a writer, I'm an artist, I'm producing my own books, I'm hiring artists, I'm hiring letterers. So I've got to live, Tom's world for, the better part of about 3 years now. And it's maddening, but it's so satisfying when it all comes together. It's like, Hannibal Smith from the A-Team, love it when a plan when it all comes together. It's amazing. And there's still nothing like, after all these books, holding your own book when it's all said and done, and seeing it go to print is still just as exciting now as it was the very first time, I think. So it's worth it, but man, it can be a lot. And I'll be the first to admit that I really suck at promotion. It doesn't come naturally to me. So I do the best I can, but I know I could be better, and I'm trying.
Well, I mean, you definitely do it better than a lot of people I've had to speak to. Hell, I put up something today. Sometimes you see something, you like, I'll see an advertisement, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen that one advertised in a while. And so I went to the person's page and I scrolled down, and I had to go back 3 or 4 days to find it on their own page. And I was like, no, that's your fucking page. It should be on there every single day. Like, if you're in the middle of a campaign, every day it should be on your page. That's the one day where no one can talk shit about.
Yeah. There's people who I see online all the time. They're like, dude, I'm so afraid to post again. And I'm like, what are you talking about? This is, like you said, it's one thing to go spamming groups. Like, you don't want to be like 10 posts a day on a group. Obviously, that's no good. But on your own thing, on your page, the people that are following you chose to follow you. So it's time to tell those followers what's up.
Yep. Well, and like you said, like about spamming groups and whatnot. Go to the group, scroll down. How long does it take you to find another one of your ads? If it takes a while, time for another one. Like, it's not that difficult.
Yeah, most of them are like, look, once a day, and you're fine.
Yeah.
And you're fine. It's easy.
Yeah, and Trish has a good idea. Have a friend like Mike, and he will drop for you every time he ends up watching a different show. Also, yeah, he is. You guys are amazing.
Friends like Trish and so on, they are the algorithm busters, because they can take your stuff and drop it themselves wherever they want to drop it. And 100%, that's real.
It's so many of the people that are in the crowd right now are, I am so grateful for what they share. And even in the industry, like, Tom will share my stuff. I'll share his. Wendy, Steph. I mean, we all kind of look after each other, which is, it's so, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. That is, like I said, I suck at it myself. So when people can help me, I'm like, thank you so much, because December Lace is like, I want to hire her. She's just, love that girl.
I mean, talk to her. You never know, right? Cool. Well, I think we're starting to wind down. The questions are starting to slow down and everything. So why don't we all go around the room, talk about yourself. First off, I'm gonna go to CB and Wes first, and then we're gonna finish with Tom, who's gonna give us that big old Goth Day push. So CB, why don't you tell everyone where to find you and what they can expect real soon from you?
All right. So the easiest place to find me is right on Facebook, CB Zane. You can follow me on Monday nights on the Artist Alley Shopping Network from 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till about 11 p.m. I do my little art show, the CB Zane Show, where generally on Sundays I'll post for suggestions on what to draw on Monday, and then I put it to a vote, and whoever wins, whatever character wins the poll, I usually draw that night. So you can find me those two places. I'll be on Kickstarter again starting Tuesday, June 1st, as I launch Might #1, and a whole bunch of stuff, to follow. So that's
thank you, man. That's awesome. Very excited to see what you got going on, man. Excited to check out more CB. I haven't checked out an awful lot. I've seen some of the Into the Suck, but I'm excited to check it out. So, dude, I really appreciate you coming on the show, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, and if you have room, I'd love to do something with Mike while the campaign's running. I'll talk to you about that maybe off camera. So,
absolutely, let's do that, man.
And last thing, I know Tom's going to do the big push, but Wes's colors are like just amazeballs on Goth Day. It's just a gorgeous looking book. It is so worth picking up. So I hope everyone will check it out.
I really love the circle jerk action we've got going on here. This is great.
Isn't that what we're here for?
I think it is. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, man, we shouldn't all one of us have to do all the work. So good. All right, Wes.
Hey, we've already admitted that we're not good at promoting ourselves. We got to let other people do it for us.
Come on, Wes.
There you go, buddy. Your turn, man.
All right. I am primarily on Facebook at Wes Hartman or SavageSasquanaut.com or Facebook. Yeah, SavageSasquanaut.com and Sasquanaut on Facebook. Instagram at WestFlow78258. Most Monday nights, I live stream on Twitch. That's also under Sasquanaut is my channel. And on the Twitch stream, I live color and I'll talk about my creative process, and generally it's an open forum, and I'll chat about whatever, and you can watch either colors I'm coloring or even Sasquatch. I color pages for Sasquatch in there. Coming up next is Goth Day, and issue 5 of Sasquatch is going to print, and the backer kit pre-order store should be up here very soon, hopefully next week or so. I'm just waiting on final approvals. And then after that will be issue 6 of Sasquatch later this year, and we got a bunch of other stuff in the works after that. But yeah, I'm on Facebook and pretty easily get hold of if you need anything from me. I'm around.
Oh yeah, you've got a bunch coming out, and guys, seriously, keep an eye on Wes, because he's got some stuff going on that I'm personally, obviously I'm a part of it, but I'm also very excited for, because it's stuff that's not like Sasquatch. You know what I mean? Like, they all have their own flavors, so keep your eyes out. Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about why we're here today?
Sure. Do you want to share the campaign? We'll do a quick scroll through so people can see what we're talking about.
Yeah. Do you have that?
I can
guess.
I can share the screen here.
Okay.
We want this, and we want, where the hell is it? There it is. Let's see if that works for you. Are you getting that?
Oh yeah. There we go.
Okay, cool. There we go. Indeed. There we go. Let me pull it back up here. So Goth Day, guys, this is a brand new book that we're doing. It is based on last year's variant covers that we did. But this year we went ahead and did a completely all new story on the inside. Little talk about what it is. Here are the preview pages that we've been talking about to give you an idea of the line work, the color work that these two guys are doing. Some of the unique page layouts. Of course, this is Scheherazade. There's our red sky at night.
Oh, that's gorgeous. That's so beautiful.
And then, of course, what's really cool here is, and this is part of the script and part of what CB had to do, is you can see we're blending the characters. So we have Scheherazade. She's got her blue curtains that are blowing, but then suddenly there's Catnip's tail. And suddenly we're on Catnip's story. So it's part of the, blending these characters' stories is part of the overall story too. It's not just a matter of, fade to black and we're somewhere else. We're always kind of stepping into someone else's world as we move through the story. So there's Catnip over the city. Here you get a sense of the musical notes that we have that kind of take you through the story. There's a reason for that stuff to be in there. It's not just a random, artistic choice. That's part of the script, part of the story. We're not going to tell you why exactly. But here it is, the great superhero landing.
Oh, yeah.
More notes.
You put a lot of pages up.
Yeah, I think it's like the first 6 or 7 or so. And then, of course, we blend into Naomi, and Catnip finds Naomi, which, of course, was designed by Nia Rufino. And there we go. So that gives you the taste of what the book actually looks like that we've been talking about all night. We have unlocked 5 stretch goals already. So there's chibi stickers from Bun Leung. We did give out the Into the Suck, which is CB Zane's book. You're going to get issue number 1 free digitally. So you can check out Into the Suck before he gets all of his other stuff going, Mighty Might and the crossover with Catgirl of Mars, and then volume 2 next year. You guys will be able to get into that. Catnip, Bun Leung chibi sticker as well. And we just unlocked yesterday, we talked about the Black Rabbit here with CB. CB is doing a 3-page backup story that will be part of the book that will be Black Rabbit's first appearance. So there's all new bonus content there for you as well. And we are now $89 away from unlocking Nia Rufino's Noir Foil trading card. So that is up next, just $89 away, folks. And then, yeah,
that's a good example of how you wanted something much darker right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. This is pure Goth Day,
You can't get more goth than that.
Nia Rufino does it again. Look at that, folks.
We're just going to print that on leather, and it's just a black leather.
Are we channeling Spinal Tap?
Cut out black leather, and we'll just send that to you. That's the problem.
It's black, but it's blacker than black.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's that super black stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
So here's the covers you can get. We did do this is CB's basic cover. Obviously, those that are watching, you probably recognize this as an homage from Venom #2. Ed Loveley doing all the cool throwback graphics to kind of match up with the old Venom book, with Catnip doing her alley crawl there. That is the CB Zane book. That's $10. All the other covers are $25, guys. They're all virgin covers, just like you see. There's no logos or anything on them at all. They're all limited to 150 copies. They're all $25. That is Cale New. We have, of course, Bill McKay and Sanju Nivengoon on the colors. This is Niai's Scarlet from Kaiju Epic. You can see Quetzalcoatl in the background there, and the musical notes that she did as the sort of noir Art Nouveau thing that we talked about. And then Paolo Pantalena and his Scheherazade Gothic Knights cover, which is just awesome. Chuck Obach on the colors on that. And then we do have sketch covers. We haven't done sketch covers in a long time. People have been wanting sketch covers. So you can get yourself a sketch cover if you like. And then we do have the original book that you guys can get if you didn't get it the first time. Spinoff Comics. It's Catnip's first appearance. Also has a story from Wendy Shaner with Sireness and Might by CB Zane there. So get yourself a copy of those books as you lean into getting Wendy's and CB's books as they're coming out. And then, of course, there's combinations. You can get all the books together if you like in one easy pledge. And if you do, right down here at the bottom, there's a bonus flip book. So this is a front and back cover of the design of Catnip. And that's only available if you're grabbing the full pack. That's just a bonus thing that we're throwing in there for you. We have a handful of last year's covers left, like almost all gone. So get a hold of those. And then, you know, there's prints, there's medals, all kinds of that kind of stuff. If you like the art things, foil covers and so on, there's prints and medals and foils too. So there we go. That's it. This is a brand new story, folks. It's not just, let me go back to CB's cover. It is not just a variant cover fest this year. It is a brand new cover, brand new story. A number of BDI characters are, you know, translated into the goth world. Scarlet is the new one this year, like officially new. She wasn't part of it last year. And it's a really cool story. CB and Wes really have brought it to life. We'll scroll back up so you can see what they did, because this is the important stuff right here. This is what your interiors look like, guys. And I'm really excited to get this book into your hands. And the book's basically virtually done. So by the time you guys get your surveys in about, I don't know, 2.5 weeks, the book's basically done. We're going to send it off to print and have this turned around for you ASAP, like shipping in July. So it's going to be really good.
Well, and it's so close. How much longer do you have?
We have 4 days left. Well, we end on Saturday. So it was a week-long campaign. We end Saturday night, 11:45 Eastern time. We'll be live again Saturday night to kind of count it down. But yeah, this was a very quick. I mean, last year we did Goth Day. It was one day. Well, it was the weekend, but really we did Goth Day. We released all the books. The second day, the foils were only available on that one day, and so on. In this case, with the Kickstarter, it's like, hey, you know, let's just make like Goth Week, give people a chance to, you know, get these books instead of having to rush them on that one day. And so far, so good. It's been really great. You know, the response has been great. I'm super excited about this book. I want to get it in your hands as fast as possible. So basically, I'm going to be probably shipping these things out to you guys like early July, like right after I get back from Albuquerque. We'll probably have the books done. That's the end of June, and then we'll start shipping them out. So super excited about this.
Do you have a show in Albuquerque? Is that what that is?
Yeah. We got invited to Albuquerque Comic Con weekend of June 25th. So I'll be out there with Nia Rufino in Albuquerque. Brian Peterson will also be there. He'll be at Artist Alley, but he'll be at our booth on occasion as well. So there'll be some BDI representation out there too. And yeah. That'll be our first con of the year.
That's badass, man. That's great. What about can we see any of the other guys on the road?
The one I'm planning to do for sure is C2E2. Just a matter of how it's going to come into play. There's a couple different options. Beyond that, I don't know. I wasn't even sure where things were.
I'll take it.
I didn't know how many cons there would be, and now things are all opening up. So I got to kind of look at my schedule and see where that is. But yeah, I'd like to do a few more actually, but to be determined.
Wes, are you going to be on the?
Only confirmed one I have right now is Big Texas Comic Con. I've reached out to a couple others, and we'll just kind of wait and see what happens. Yeah, that's the only one right now. Hopefully something else comes up, but we shall see.
I mean, most of my shows are in Texas. I mean, this year they all are, and anytime I've gone to a show, I see Wes there. So I had a bunch set up, and it's like, Wes, are you going to any of these? No, not so far. Fuck, dude, it's not going to be a show without you. So I'm glad you're going to be at Big Texas.
Last year, I was finally able to get it scheduled where I was able to branch out further, and then of course everything shut down. Like, oh, all right, cool. And part of the group I'm with, the art reps I was with, that are helping me get into some of the other shows. Like, hey, are you guys doing anything? It's like, nobody seemed really interested. Like, well, I'm interested. What's up? So I'm trying to kick their butts into gear because they were helping me out with some of that and trying to do some of it on my own too. So it's hard though. It's a time away, and I'm full-time dad. So if I'm not here and wife's at work, we don't know what to do with the kids. So
yeah.
It has to work out for everybody.
Right? Steph, I don't live in one of those dinky ass little fucking states like you do, okay? When I go to a show, I actually have to travel. So my short travel is going to Big Texas, which is an hour drive. Dallas is like 5, and Houston's like 4. So, for you, if you went 4 hours away, you'd be like 4 states away. Yeah, right. So, I don't want to leave far from my couch, but I do have to fucking sell books.
It's nice when you don't have to pay for hotels.
I feel like CouchCon is about to be a thing.
Yeah.
It should be. It should have been already. And by the way, anyone who isn't bringing a fucking snack tray with all of their comics is doing it wrong, if you're asking me.
I saw somebody at a con once bring I don't know how I describe this. You know how it's like a Jesus Christ, how do you explain this thing? So they had like a tool tray, right? And it had like nuts and bolts and stuff in it. Like you had trays for nuts and bolts, and it had like that top clear case so you can see what you're going after. But it had no nuts and bolts in it, but it did have nuts. It had like peanuts and almonds and whatever. They just filled the thing up with just snacks so they could bring it to the con in a handy little, carrying case. And they're like, pop, I'm going to have an almond, and they're good to go. So yeah.
No, I
booth
always
snacks are a necessity.
They are, man. I'm not paying, like $10 for a microwaved burger. Fuck that shit. It's not happening. No, I'll eat my real meal at the end of the night when we're doing the beer con, the after con. So, okay, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out. Please jump on, check out Goth Day, because at the end of the day, it's so close to done. And as you guys saw, that art, the story, everything looks absolutely amazing. They're so close to getting you more stretch goals. What's the next stretch goal after this one, Tom?
I don't know.
Is it a mystery number 5 right now?
There's
all right.
more. There's more.
Unlock it, because we're all excited. So
$89. We need $89, and we unlock that one, and we're on to stretch goal 6.
Come on, people. It's not that far. We can make that happen. All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much, man. I'm going to be here next week. I'll have Jack Holder with me. We'll be talking about his comics. We're going to be having a good time. We did 25 episodes. Now we're into our back 25, and we started out big with these boys. Let's see if we can keep it coming. So, guys, thank you so fucking much for coming out. I really appreciate you guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Wes. Good luck.
Thanks, man. Nice to see you, Stevie.
Yeah, you too, Wes.
Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourselves. My name is Chuck. I do give a fuck. Have a good one and stay safe.